And okay, just to let people know in live stream that this is part 2 of the 37th Noise Seekers Workshop. We had a little interruption there. Okay, go ahead. I think we're okay.
So, what you've done and what you've shown, twins, is you have walked away, or in a way you got to the next step of development of the gravitational system. If you could create a right balance field around your reactor, even the single one as you see it, you should see the light inside or around your reactor. You should be one of the first people on this planet seeing the what we call the bright light in the sky. If you achieve the hollow and you can create the right environmental field strength, you should be able to see the first bright light in the sky. You're ready for lift. But you got to understand how to achieve it and how to do it. Because the interaction you have created, the gradient you have created, is an atmospheric matter gradient in respect to the GANs of a heavy element. So somewhere in between the rings inside your, if you have it transparent as you see you have, you should be able to see the first bright light in the sky. You've made the first light bulb. But look for it, understand it. If you don't achieve it, you have to adjust a few small parameters in the density of your copper oxide and CO2, or add CH3 that it gives you better clearance. But
how about the aluminum GANs? I think that's pretty close to the CO2 though, right?
In a way, but please note everything down step by step, especially the time factor. You have achieved the ultimate goal of lift, but you don't see it. Just adjust your system.
Yeah.
You got to go into the star formation to have a control, to have the lift complete, but you have achieved the breakthrough. Because you have managed to change the matter into a field, and as you see it, it doesn't freeze. And at the same time, the energy balance comes. Now try to do something very interesting. Who has handled these materials? Is it just you or some other people?
Only me.
Only you. Okay. Try to make a smaller sphere of the same thing, mixture, and try it and hold it in your hands. Don't demand and don't pressurize. You will find you achieve lift. Your desire becomes the reality of the lift. If you push, you find resistance. If you ask, it's the way what I was telling Arthur, you will reach lift exactly. Try to attach your system to a wooden or a plastic structure. Then
Well,
you
hopefully my
should be
drill
able to
press
see
won't
that.
fly away.
No, it should not do. It has a connection with your soul. You have created it.
Well, hopefully it won't fly to heavy.
No. It stays where it is, don't worry. It stays where it is. So just follow the same. You have moved away from GAN's gameplay.
Yeah, I've been trying to think a lot about it and just take into consideration all the information that I have, because I think I have a lot. As you said, I've been on every Knowledge Seeker workshop, and I think every other one too. And
You are,
you know, you learn a lot.
you have achieved a major breakthrough. And as I said, I let the knowledge seekers do that. I don't need to be killed. Now they got to kill all of us. So just understand what you've done. You
Don't
mix
let my
the
wife
two.
hear that.
Now we're all safe. You bought the insurance policy. The boys in NASA are jumping up and down. How stupid we were. We should have done this before. So maybe I give you a hint. You created a gas in one layer with CO2 and one layer with gas of copper oxide. Read the paralyzing of the naval boats of the American Navy with one aircraft flying at close and one aircraft standing at distance. Now you got your answers for American security is how you've been paralyzed. The plasma sits inside your craft, inside your boat. All Russians have done, they have made it to happen. Exactly what you've done in the center core of your ping pong ball. If you read the reports at the time when the American boats was paralyzed, there were two crafts. One standing still far away or flying in the distance, and second in the formation. Two conditions, the field 0 point in the ring, the craft itself. Nothing was done by the Russians. You became the trap of your own magnetic field. All they did, they enforced it, they showed it where they wanted. The way you increase the power of your ping pong ball, and the sphere in the middle appeared. Now maybe intelligence people understand how the game of war is finished. Read the report. It's not one flight, there is not one craft, there were two crafts. One a distance as a support, and one flying parallel near. So the boat became itself the hollow
Right, that's
sphere.
the one that they. Sorry,
5th
so
of
that's
May
the one that
accident.
they flew over 12 times then.
Yes, they
So
enforced.
basically they were enforcing the condition by using the twinity of the same system and the other craft and basically pulling the gravitational magnetic field towards each other.
No, just creating the condition to be focused at the boat.
Right,
You understand? So now, don't forget that the Russians received the key at the same time as the Americans. The Americans denied it because it was to their benefit for the scientists to keep their PhDs and professorship, and the Russians developed it. And now they have the tools of means of doing it. I give a warning to the people who are planning games in Ukraine. Your tanks will not even go because you won't have the facility to even fire. The Crimean War should not start because the only winner out of it, with what Russians have shown, will be the Russian nation. No electronic gadgets will be able to fly and cross their shield. Maybe this shows the power. You have touched something very important and you do not realize what it is. And I open it because I know the space scientists and military scientists are watching this program, as you heard the conversation earlier on with their own in the radios. Now what you have created, what they have created in May, you have shown it in practice. But you have to understand what you've done. As I said, with this technology, all the latest weapon technologies are obsolete. And a simple man with a knowledge, correct knowledge like you, has shown it, not me. And anybody can practice it and test it. You're frozen, it will not freeze because it's magnetic field. You cannot freeze magnetic fields. And you cannot freeze gases which got magnetic field, even as matter, crossing across them. The game of war game is over, and the Russians have shown it, the Iranians have shown it. Now, as I said, the man on the street will bring this knowledge to the governments to enforce his power, and you've done it. I congratulate you. You achieved something very fundamental, and it had to be done by you because we already achieved it. We have shown his power. Now people show it.
Thank you. I try. Try to add to the knowledge of humanity.
We'll see where we go. I think our security people, the people who are on the forum and on the background listening, this is a very big blow into weapon technology at the present electronics, because electrons work in a very weak state, and the plasma at this state is very powerful. And jamming of military equipments with this technology is absolutely child's play. You've shown it. The only thing is you don't have is the measuring tools of measuring to show how far, how deep you can go and how it can be done. What you've done, if you can understand, it can reach 30, 40 kilometers. And because it's plasmatic, it's harmless. We receive it all the time from the universe. So
Could that be a reason why I feel calm when I'm around my lab now?
you find balance, you find peace. Caroline says the same. I have set up the same thing for protection. She says, as I come to the landing, I feel the change. So now we're extending the cover to the whole of the building. In the next few days, we change it that the whole cover, because we protected certain areas. We knew they were planted materials and they caused what you call poisoning. Now we extend it to the whole of the building in the coming days.
Keshe, can you give us a little bit of a hint on how that system works, what the technology is, what kind of devices you use or whatever? Is there something you can tell us about that without revealing the security aspects of it that you wouldn't want to talk about?
The field strength is above any electronic system which can be made by man. So everything is supported, everything becomes a slave into the sphere. In a way, you need to do this in a space. It's always say, look, and it's within you. The security parameters is very simple. If you can understand the structure, you use the structure for the benefit of yourself, for the condition you want to create. That's all we done. We receive telephone frequencies, we receive other frequencies, but the frequencies which is put on the telephone line to harm, it gets automatically blocked. If you look at all our laptops in the labs around the area, all have come on the same kind of process. I think, oh, thank you very much. I think my tea for morning. Thank you. I think if you can test the strength of the hollow ball in your system, and you can dictate the size and the strength of it with the mixture you choose for your organs, then you dictate the influence of the space you will cover. The range cover in a space is up to, or you can go beyond several hundred thousands of kilometers. You might think it's too very big, but you have to understand when you travel at speeds several times the speed of light, then you need these kind of things to clear the path in the front. So this is what you can do. You can create it. It stays the structure of your body. It doesn't harm you because your body is at a certain gravitational magnetic field according to the strength of the amino acid. So anything above it and below it passes you. It's like your body called neutrinos. And then you might understand when we speak about the heating of the body, how come you don't get cold and the heat will be where you are. This is exactly what happens. The defense technology is not for defense, it's for actually protection of man in space. And try to increase the size of your center point by extracting the water from the system. But don't extract all of it because then you don't have the flow. because you need that. It's like the softness of a tissue. When you cook the meat, you need it to be like jellish for the cores to slide and the fields to be able to maneuver and find their space. That's yours.
So I could layer these GANs. Sorry, Rick.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I could layer these GANs as I already have a layer of copper oxide and a layer of CO2. I could take the water out, put copper oxide back in, and it will layer on top of that CO2.
Yeah, but if you make it too heavy, then you find out you get a switch back to front. Then your problem starts. Then you roll.
I was going to
you have.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
go on.
I was going to suggest, what if some other liquid was substituted, maybe even a lighter liquid like alcohol or some
It's
other fluid?
irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Whatever you put, because you have established the magnetic field gravitation between the two layers. This happens when you have a mixture material and you achieve the mixture material. When it happens, the mixture material lenses centrally and it goes back lenses outward. So now what you received is the magnetic field vacuum condition. This is how vacuum is created in space. I told you months ago, you do not need vacuum systems. Now for the first time you've seen it. When I teach here to the knowledge seekers with the ring magnets, I always tell them the power, the source of magnetic field in this ring sits in the hollow, right in the center of the ring, which is hollow. You have achieved a huge, huge, huge demonstration of power of the technology. And I tell you something, if there are boys in NASA and in Lockheed Martin listening, boys, it's time to change the systems back to making peace systems, because everything you made is obsolete. Literally obsolete with a little ping pong ball. Can be captured, can be capsulated, and can be made above the field of electron which you need, and then it's done. As all of you know, most probably, those of you who are close to security services, NASA has a front and NASA has a military section. And most of the black financing comes through the military section of NASA. You need a special clearance to go through these systems. I know because I was cleared to be able to see it. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. In so many ways, NASA space military boys tonight will shake in their shoes and in their socks. They've been trying, they've been testing, but they could not understand it. Now we know internally what you're up to, some of you private or public. Now a man on the street has shown how knowledge is simple. Propulsion lab shut down, unfortunately. It is very important. You got to understand how you can develop this further. Let me explain something to you because it's become very apparent. A lot of people are chasing to develop the GANs. They develop this and they do the GANs material, small powers or whatever it is. And some of you have moved to the next stage like WINS and others. We need it. It's not that you are behind. Every step is needed to be understood by totality and in steps one at a time. But because the step is going that way, you are there. In the coming days, you can ask from the Keshe Foundation for triple plates, which means you can have 2 copper coated or a copper zinc and a copper coated, that you can simultaneously produce zinc copper oxide and CO2 what do you call it, GANs, that you can start building the systems which is WINS has shown. So This was planned for January, February. I thought by that time some people will reach this point because we planned it to show it here and I know people will follow it. With Vince taking this step, we bring that forward. Maybe next day or two we'll put it on the website that you can buy 3-plate set. Then you can make your first motion energy reactors directly with a ping pong ball. I always said, you show the way, I open the door. And now you've seen it. And I said, before Christmas we'll fly. Wins, you got 2 weeks.
Okay, no problem. No pressure.
No. You have reached, you reached the plasma condition vacuum space.
There is no pressure in plasma. That's what I mean.
No. Yeah, but the thing is, there is no pressure, it's a pleasure. Others who already produced different gases. Let me explain, please, 1 second. If you have produced gold GaNs and CO2, do the same. You achieve the same thing. If you use the aluminum nano GaNs material and copper, do the same, you achieve it. It's creating the right gradients to focus inside, that then it goes backwards out to itself. You literally create it and become so much in the center that your GaNs itself becomes covered by it. So because the power is more, this is how solar systems create their magnetic gravitational field. And this is how planets do. And if you go back on the Spanish teaching, I explained I do not believe a solid core in the earth of this planet. That's exactly, now you've seen it. The soul of the man and the body of man is getting ready for the ultimate move, and we are there, and this is fantastic. What you've shown, and the scientists understand it, and they can develop it. Doesn't matter if you have 2 GaNs, and the difference is big enough or narrow enough, you will create the central ball cavity, the ring. And then you understand, once it goes in, as I call this lensing, you feed all the fields into the center because it's getting stronger. Then the field itself opens up, that your GaNs become part of the inner structure. So you feed the center and the center feeds out. You create gravitational magnetic field plasma, as we said it. And then the strength which you create on 2 layers decide the size of your craft. Now you have to follow what I showed earlier with what Luciano said, and showed what I call the drawings. You can then use, as I said, create 5, not 4. Then you can decide the direction of the flow of the system. Make it on a spherical system. You can put it in your car, you can put it on the plate, you can put it on the table. Everything is, from this minute on, everything on this planet is flyable. Even your cups can fly, if you can understand this. You have achieved a marvelous breakthrough, or opening up the technology to public. Yes, but you can do
That's part of
that because
positioning, isn't
this.
it?
Yes, the thing is, I have explained this to Marco and Armin when we were setting the reactors, that we have to put these on rotating, what do you call it, bearings. that by changing the direction or rotation, because you can buy, we have them, we've seen them here. You buy bearings which are, they are uh, locked into a frame that you can change the position and different angles of it. In 1 or 2 reactors, we already use such a thing. You don't need to turn it, but in a way, you have to realize that your sphere inside, your ring inside, or a sphere of magnetic field inside has already got the capability to do that. You just gotta change that. You don't look at the physicality of changing the position of the ring. Use, now that you got to this stage, to concentrate the 4 inner core rings, plasmas, in the direction you want. And then you achieve lift in the direction you want. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. It's amazing what you achieved if you understand it. And if you can do what you have achieved to create that free ring inside, what we call a free plasma inside, I'll see you for Christmas in Italy. It should take you 10 minutes.
Here you go, Vince.
It is fantastic what you've achieved. I congratulate you again, because it's absolutely, in a way, you brought the roadmap of 2014 forward by 6 weeks.
Hey, Vince, I'll race you to Italy.
Be careful your prime minister doesn't. Be careful your prime minister doesn't hear that, huh?
Yeah.
That's right.
Mr. Keshe, I'm building a setup. I built a frame a couple of days ago, and I have all the motors and everything set up. I just have to put my reactor spheres on it, but it's 8 reactors. I have 4 on top and 4 on bottom. I wanted to know what kind of system that's going to produce.
I don't know. You will tell us.
Okay.
Because you work with what it is. I know for one thing is, now that you have managed to create what are called free plasma and a free magnetic field environment inside these cores, now you understand how you done it, I hope. This, in so many ways, shows how the American drone was captured. I put that to the security people who are your friends to understand.
So that means you're relating this to the dual core nuclear reactor there.
Ask the Iranian scientist. You can expand, increase. That is so rapid. The lensing of the plasma is so rapid. If you can control it, you become part of it. We are part of this process in the center of the planet. So it's part of the process, we know. Now you achieved it. I created it with what I call the pin, nano-coated. And I said to Armin some time ago, in time we have to take the pins out, because then when we mix it, it comes to this point. Now you achieved it. We show its proper application in the coming days. And if you can apply it as a transparent or outside the boundary of your core, you see the bright light. You should see the bright light. What it is, you haven't tuned it fine enough to lens it back out. You're on the CO2 level.
Are you saying that there should be or should not be a central pin like in Vince's design that we see
It shouldn't be. It should not be. You don't need a center pin, because now you achieved. This is what I said to Arman before. It will be taken out in time, but now you achieved it and you've shown it. This was the next step before Christmas we were hoping to do. So now you've shown it, we open it because we have more facilities than you do. We have all the setup. We can literally stop the course today and reload, huh, Marco? We have enough CO2 carbon dioxide, yeah. Maybe we'll see that as well. You got to understand what this condition creates. This condition allows you to, if you understand the gradient between the two, to create gravitational magnetic field of any matter. Because now it's you who dictates what that
So I
simple
actually,
plasma is going to release. Pardon?
sorry, I got a bit of delay there for a second. I was just thinking about that while you were talking, and if we relate this back to the patents and all the knowledge that we received from the books and everything before this, the CO2 is a lighter gravitational magnetic field strength than the copper oxide. Yet the copper oxide is on the outside, so that would mean that it would create that double magnetic field in the center, creating that gravitational magnetic field due to the interaction of the lighter and the heavier plasmas.
That's all you've done. This is the favorite work of Marco, gradient.
And this is easy to do because as long as you have a gradient or a higher and a lower, they will work themselves out when you spin it.
In a way, yes, but if you can make a free spinning, you should see that your plasma will float indefinitely. And it's very easy. If you go and follow it and just don't follow the matter and start understanding the plasma, I will give you lunch for Christmas in the Sensano. You should be able to create the lift, the energy, and the protection simultaneously, as the Earth does. As I said, this has come the wrong time for security people. This will throw a big spanner, if this scientific world has listened to it, into the peace talks. Because now what you have shown opens a lot of things for worldwide security and national armies and military, that they become obsolete. And the second time, as we heard, if you know how to use this, add to it the way we do, understanding the structure of the psychological and pattern. Half of the people are carrying the arms, they don't understand why it's in their hand. You have opened a massive door just about 4 weeks before, because I wanted to show this just before Christmas, that during the holidays the governments have enough time to contemplate how they're going to start 2015. Now you brought it forward, as I said, you brought the World Peace Treaty and roadmap of 2014 by 6 weeks forward. I congratulate you. If the boys in military don't try to hide it, but now it's open, you've shown it. Try to understand it. It'll take you a few weeks or months to totally comprehend what you've done. But don't forget that those who are have more facilities in their hand, they can do it much rapidly in different ways. But stick it together, put it in your car, goodbye to fuel. Put it together in the right order, you can heat up all your and have light whenever you need. Understand what Marcel showed you. Your problem from today is how to keep light out of the house than keeping light inside the house. You've changed a lot of things, but you got to understand it. Not only you, but a lot of people around the Keshe Foundation. I'm sure our Chinese colleagues will jump on this, because I know how they're doing their work. What you do, you test Raman spectroscopy, which you have access to in China. I talk to our Chinese colleagues who have listened to these programs, and they know what they're doing. Try to understand the field, the spectrum under the graph of Raman spectroscopy you receive. you will understand the energy delivery, and then you decide what matter you want to use and what fields you want to produce. This is what is called the love of God reaches every entity in the universe, because it's focused inside, and when it spreads equal amongst all creators. And then I'm sure our Chinese friends in the structure that are working, they can separate the materials for the strength they need, and then they use it as a mixture inside the core, and then you can achieve light, lift, even gravitational magnetic field of the cancer or whatever you need. This changes a lot of things for teaching, and I open the door fully from now on. And I thank you for it.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Just understand, try to concentrate in the next few days to replicate the same. But understand, try to clean up your material from your water from any material, that you don't carry any sediments, because they'll be separated. As I told you, it'll be at the bottom. I haven't seen your system. I knew exactly what you achieved, what you have. And I congratulate with what you've done the Iranian scientists who achieved it a long time before you did. And the same with the Russian military. My advice to national security people who are listening, and the ones who have access to them, you know who you are, give them peace, tell them to listen to this part, watch exactly what has happened and how exactly the most advanced boat in the American army was paralyzed. Russians understood. And if I was you, I would not start the Crimea War, because the only losers will be the ones who sit on the left side, not the ones on the right side. You can carry these systems in your pocket and paralyze systems from kilometers. You don't need huge tanks. As you said, a pressure cooker will do. Any other question?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, this is Lucian. I wanted just to make a remark on Vince's success and maybe a suggestion to you. In the last maybe 4 workshops, you was giving us a direction of where we go. What I mean by this, you was saying that you are doing and creating the free plasma. After that, we are learning to control it. You know what I mean? So we know where we're going from week to week. So if you could make your plan, let's say for 6 months, to tell us upfront, what we learn in the immediately next coming sessions. For example, probably you would like to go in a crescent disk and sheets, currents in plasma reconnection sheets and stuff like that, so we can have an idea and prepare ourselves theoretically on what you are going to say. I think, as Vince showed us, we are going really fast. So try to make for us something like a curriculum to know ourselves what we should, in what direction we should read and, and go with you. So give us, if possible, like a little overview in the front, maybe 2-3 workshops in advance.
You see, I think with what we showed you with the bracket inside the star formation, is I know where we are going, but I keep on saying this to Caroline. Caroline keeps on telling me, if you tell me things what I'm not supposed to do, then I don't do that, I delay the process of the knowledge. I said, if I tell you, then you're not going to do it, and then the process goes backwards. Then I have to redo it. Your soul is connected with our soul, and our mission is the same. So you receive the knowledge what has got to be done in time and when it's needed to be done. You don't need curriculum. Curriculum sits within your thoughts, within your soul, and with what you receive from us. Words are meaningless. You receive the knowledge from me directly through. It depends how you clean your souls with it to receive it. The curriculum is written thousands of years ago. When I started the first half-cut bottles here in the lab, and everybody was laughing and joking. The guy is just crazy. He's brought a bunch of monkeys around him to show what they do. We read everything, we listen to everything. Now the monkey is you. We have to go at the steps and the speed you understand. Out of thousands and thousands, we have something we know, millions of followers. Now 1 out of million has touched the core. And now the other million reach the same level in 1 instant. When you do things with pure heart to serve, you receive the knowledge. It's you who's refusing it and rejecting it because it's not at the level you want to work. What Vince has shown, it's been on the table from the beginning. Now you see it, you observe it, because now you are supposed to be the one who receives the knowledge and do it. Try to understand the whole
Yes,
process.
but we did not understand the difference between. We didn't understand the difference between the free plasma and that one confined into the boundary of the sphere. So until you did not explain us that, as you were able to see, we were not able to have progress.
Yes, but the thing is now, I kept on explaining this, and I kept on using poor Marco as a reference. Gradients. I have mentioned going to the in my talks in past maybe month, 2 months. It must be mentioned about a few hundred times, and now you've seen it. The gradients has done its job. Now you decide to look in how fields interact. You should be able easily to make as much light as you like by tonight. And I'm sure if you had the systems we have here, you should have seen a weight reduction. But your system is so light. It's so light, but you managed to capture and control universal gravitational magnetic field, which comes from the plasma. And you achieved a major breakthrough. I tell you, people in the White House tonight will not sleep if they understood how obsolete it has become. Tools of war. Let me explain to you what you can do. Expand the size of this plasma for your GANs to become inside it, that it bypasses your boundary of your house. You can do it very easily. 2000 RPM around is your average. If you go over 2000 RPM with CO2, we've seen it here, it's no difference. We've tried 6000 and we tried everything else, and that's why we keep on telling you it's 2000 RPM. You went from 700 up brand, between 1500 to 2500, as I explained in the last workshop, is a margin, depends on what kind of CO2 you produce. All the CO2s are not the same. As I explained, oxygens are created by different materials in different conditions. So you have to find out what your CO2 magnetic field is, what your copper oxide magnetic field is. You have a common denominator between the O of a CO2, CuO, again oxygen, and again the water, which has an oxygen. That's why you're focusing, lensing your plasma into the center. The plasmatic magnetic gravitational field of your sphere in the center has a direct link with the transfer of oxygen, gravitational magnetic plasma. So understand the process, why. You have made, that's why we went through the water, and that's why we use the water. That's why I use everything to oxidize copper oxide. In a way, H2O is a hydrogen oxide. CO2 is carbon oxide. So you have a GAN's common denominator. So the plasma you have created in the center of the core has a limitation. Just 1 second, please.
There's not enough oxygen on the outside of the reactor to create a...
Vince, very, very interesting last 5 sentences. We are going to discuss them.
I thought it was interesting in terms of the Earth's crust is composed all of oxides. And
oxides.
Then we just determined that inside this reactor, this spinning little reactor, is actually it's all oxides. Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it.
Now, what happens when you have now listen, what happens, you have a different gravitational magnetic field outside the reactor? There's no link up.
They will link
You're not
up.
allowing the field to expand.
No, they
it's
will
interaction
allow
of
because...
the...
Are we on? Yeah,
Yeah,
because you got to understand, you have your helping hand outside the reactor too. Because in the Earth gravitational magnetic field, you still have a moisture and you have oxygen. So within the layers, you don't have GANs only inside, you have GANs outside as well. This is exactly as Luciano showed us with the wire. The GANs was up there, not in the liquid. It's the same process. It's amazing how bits come together to be there. Huh? Every one of you has brought a piece of jigsaw and you're putting it together in one day. It means it's the time to move. Luciana comes with a piece of the GANs outside on the wire. Marcel comes with the design. You come up with CO2. So it means the human race is ready to the next step. Our Chinese friends are doing their bits. We have, at least just the reason I just left, is one of the top people in the world of electronics and computers is arriving here in the next hour and a half. He's one of the richest people in Western Europe. And he happened to be, he was told to be in a talk I was giving private on Friday. And he's partnering with one of the biggest, used to be part of the biggest computer organizations in the world, Apple. He has left everything, says, I have found what I was looking for, and everything is answered there. And he's our guest for 2 days here at the center. And now we'll explain what you release to them, and then we support and we develop further with the international groups that are involved with NEOs. It's amazing how everything is coming together.
Mr. Keshe, just as a sideline here, I'm showing on the screen now the world's first ionized ping pong ball. What I did was I put a hole in the ping pong ball and put a brass fitting adapted onto it and put it onto my vacuum system. I vacuumed it out, so there's a little bit of air left, but not very much. And then I added the high voltage onto the brass fitting from a plasma ball, you know, normal plasma ball voltage supply. And then what happened was it didn't light up very good. It barely lit up in the dark, but as soon as I touched it with my fingers, the ball lit up the way you see it there on the screen. So it's interesting in that the gases, just a small amount of atmosphere can ionize inside of a ping pong ball, and they could take the full vacuum as well without collapsing, which it might be a world first as well. I don't know anybody who would have bothered to vacuum out a ping pong ball.
I did.
But
I did 7 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it works. We have a ping pong. If you go back to some of the presentations, I used to show it. I used to show the GANs inside the ping pong ball and nobody understood. I don't know. I think the last time I saw it, it was when the Canadians stole it from me in the suitcase. They were trying to investigate. I haven't seen it since.
This is compensation for that then, because it's two Canadians that are leading the charge here now. And you know what? One of my, you know what? Wait a
Are you
minute.
sure?
I
Are you
just
sure
wanted
you
to
were not at
say,
the airport? Are you
well,
sure
I'm
you were
telling
not
you,
at the airport
one
5
of
years ago?
one of my goals is to get the Canadian government to apologize to you for your detention in 2010, I believe it was, and you know, because that just wasn't right, and they deserve to just say something about
I
that.
tell you,
I would like to have it
I
mentioned in
tell you,
Parliament, actually, and I know somebody at the top of the government that might be able to make that happen next year. So we'll see.
okay, I tell you
Joyce
something.
Murray,
In
are
this
you
talk,
listening?
let me tell you something very interesting. You started this talk. As you know, when they did their game in keeping me in Toronto Airport, they went through everything. As you've seen, I've shown it all the samples of the gas, which at that time nobody understood what it was, were examined by the Canadian scientists, and they put numbers. And I show this to the knowledge every time we see it. Marco is shaking his head. They use the black ink, and it's like a dash, double dash, plus numbers. And tell the Canadian officers who did it in their report, sooner or later somebody will bring it out. Number 3 is CO2. It's a cylinder full of CO2, white. Strange enough, on Saturday when we were going, on Monday when we were going to meeting with this bunch of Italians and different things for the whatever universities and others, I put my hand in to put a pen in, and I thought there is something bulgy in this top pocket. And I felt it inside, outside, inside, outside. It wasn't there. It was something in between. So I literally went down deep into the outside pocket, and it was this little cylinder with a Canadian writing on it with the black number 3. Now I tell you, when they open the report, look at number 3. It's a CO2. That's 5 years ago. And this was in a plastic bag. And I said to Elia, there is a reason to Marco, Armand, this is here for whatever reason. So in the talks and discussions and the meetings and presentations we had, Elia kept on telling me, show them the CO2. So by accident, what the Canadian did, somehow it's ended up in my pocket with number 3. And in the talk we gave, it was on the table, so everybody could see it for the first time, CO2, which was, Canadian had it 5 years ago, but they didn't have the intelligence to understand what it was. And now, this container, today, or maybe yesterday, is in the hand of the people who are involved with Ebola to test it for direct Ebola development of the machines and systems for it. And it's very interesting. And when I saw it, I said to Arman, this bottle is still with me from my torture time in Canada. And now that bottle has gone to most probably open up the discussion and the development with one of the major companies who's been appointed for the Ebola development of viruses. And they were so happy to take it, and it's gone. It's already in Africa. So it was very strange. Number 3 in the file, whenever they open it, it was in their hand. They didn't understand. Now you understand what it is.
And strangely enough, the Canadian the vaccine lab is possibly one of the top in the world with this Ebola vaccine. Only they've run out of it, and they don't have enough for doses, and it's all still very experimental and very iffy. So it's ironic that that's the case, eh?
Yeah, it's already, I was told, we know within the next day or two what's the position with it in Ebola test. But we know from the scientists in South Sierra Leone University that they're working on this. It's going to test. It's going to be tested this week, I think, with the AIDS virus too. Is how they have been pulled wool over their eyes in trying to deceive everybody, and now they see it. And the breakthrough has come with delivery of the CO2 kits, because people now for the first time see the application of it, and they can use it, and they can do things with it. And now we show the CO2, we told you what we're going to do next, this energy systems. And with what WINS has shown us, now you have your flight system and you have your energy system totally in one go. Now you
I
know
have a
what you
question
got to do.
about that too, Mr. Keshe.
Yes?
Regarding the health aspect and how the Ebola virus will link up to the CO2 or the fields of the CO2. If you create a dynamic reactor like this, let's say just with CO2, and you create that link up in a patient with the Ebola virus, should it not extract that Ebola virus?
There is a miscalculation with this, because you have to pass this field through other organs, and you can create mayhem. It's just like putting bullet through people. It has to be done the way it is. This process of what you're speaking to is part of the patent. If you read it, can be used to create the extraction of materials from environments when there is nothing in the way to harm or to be harmed. You're very correct. It can be done, but now you got a physical bullet. Now you got plasma bullets, because if the virus is in your arm or in your stomach or in your head, imagine it's trying to come to the where you put the system to attract it, to extract it. So it has to
So
be
would that
done.
mean you might need to add energy or add gravitational magnetic field to that virus to be able for it to not interact with the matter?
No, automatically it does. Automatically will be extracted. You don't need to do it. According to the report from the university, um, the interaction is instantaneous. We saw it with our friend Yukoko in Japan, and everybody says, oh, this is all rubbish, blah, blah. It's instantaneous.
No, I never believed that.
No, but it's instantaneous. The minute you put its magnetic fields, they do. We were standing, because we were in south of Italy yesterday, we were standing outside on the street with Armin. And I said to him, if you look at that palm tree, you know the palm tree, it goes up and then you have a big leaves and it goes with a big branch, what do you call it, branches, and then it slowly becomes very small to the top. I said, when you look at that top of that tree with all these big leaves, with the bigger leaves at the beginning of near the tree and then the smaller outside, is exactly how your magnetic fields behave in your plasma. Strong fields, bigger attraction, bigger, stronger field, and at the end become smaller, that they can be pulled back into the core. If you really want to see it, if you get a good palm tree which has got a big head which turns over, this is the best demonstration for flow of magnetic field and plasma. They are in every direction and they cover everything in every aspect. Just follow the tip of the leaves and then you'll see how you create a sphere. And that's why the fruits of these trees are so centralized and so powerful. Look at the dates. I explained the problem with the Middle East and the food. Now you may understand. This structure you just achieved is not just a ball inside. This ball is live, is kicking, it's three-dimensional, and it receives and sends fields out. Now start playing with it. Please, those who are in nano games and you're playing with producing nanomaterials and watching the different things and different materials, do not stop, because we still need those knowledges you're gaining to come into the on the table for the others to learn more about. And this is fantastic, the way you openly put things on, you don't hide it, that it's going to become a pattern. And my deepest commiseration goes to the people who are involved in all this defense technology and billions spending computers in making weapons and missiles and the rest. As of today, your work worth zilch, zero. And it's done by a simple man in Canada. You know I love Canada, my sister lives there. So your nationality has no meaning, but you achieved a major breakthrough.
So,
In a
Mr.
way, you opened
Keshe,
the door for us. Yes.
sorry, Ludmila is here. It's usually a nasty question and to make Vince's life miserable.
Your question's always nasty nice. It's the way you want attention, we give it to you, no problem.
No, just to make Vince's life miserable.
Why?
What?
Make it pleasurable.
No. Just to make him,
You
working
know,
harder.
Ludmil, you keep on blaming your wife. I think you are the cause of your own diabetic.
I know. Not me, the banks. Don't mix the things. There is some difference. I'm okay with it. The banks are not. What is gonna happen if we enforce?
Go ahead, Limo.
If we enforce the water out with gas, let's say for example hydrogen, isn't that gonna speed up the process?
Why do you need to speed up the process? You
Just to
have to see
increase
what
the
they're
magnetic
expecting.
field.
Depends. No, depends what you're expecting from the system to deliver. Let me explain to you something. Don't change situations just to achieve something. Change the situation to understand what it does. Then you go forward. Change the situation and see what it gives you. I tell you something, if Armand is asleep, because we arrived very late, I would say about 3-4 o'clock this morning, got to bed, he's gonna kick himself not being here today, because he could have shown you exactly what you're gonna achieve. He's worked so hard to put together. Now it's there. We develop it further scientifically in an appropriate way, and you do it your way. I think it's very good for you to look at the design which Marcel has put it on, because it has a lot of parallel in the structure, balancing the fields. And look at what you achieved and what we learned from Luciana and the others. We have entered, as of today, into a real position to change the course of humanity in a very good
Mr.
way.
Keshe, I think that Ludmil's question is a little bit different. In other words, when Vince is filling that sphere, right, is putting water, the gases, and is some
Yes, I answered him.
oxygen. Just a second. Just oxygen and nitrogen. What Ludmil says, if you take that oxygen out and you replace the oxygen and nitrogen with hydrogen, which is having a smaller molecular mass as an entity.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Oh, okay.
It's totally irrelevant, because now the spherical condition is established. Let me give you advice, Vince. Do not change or stop to reassociate, to integrate. What it means, do not stop your system. If you want to do any changes, try it on another system. Because if you collapse it with what you created, it allows other system to follow and link up with and create the same condition. You do not need, because
Exactly
if
what
you
I was
change
thinking.
a hydrogen and oxygen or whatever, or nitrogen, does not make any difference, because now you work on the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field condition.
I think we have a bit of an audio problem right now. Hello, Spaceship Institute. I think we're having. Is it true? Other people having problems with the audio? Okay, my audio has gone off, and I think the live stream audio is off, right? So I've just lost some audio for some reason. Okay, let me check some settings in Skype. Oh, now I have audio. Yes, I can hear you now, but I don't have the speaker's audio coming out. Let me reset it. Maybe it'll come through. No, still not coming through. Okay, I have to try it a different way. Try the Procaster.
Gentlemen, we have to finish at 11:30.
Yeah, we have to finish.
No, we have
Rick,
to finish around 11.
Things okay?
I believe it's working here now, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's
So
just check for live stream.
Yeah, we have to finish around 11:30 because of what is happening here. We will announce it. We hopefully by next. You still need to produce everything and replicate everything, and if you just
might be important, so maybe you could just repeat that.
Try not to jump out and everybody start doing what Vince has done, trying to reach to that point. Carry on to understand, and then when you reach the point where Vince has been, you reach a maturity of understanding and you know what to do with it. Then the monkey do, monkey does, monkey sees. What the next step for Vince or people who work in this direction is find a way to concentrate your plasma inwardsly to the central core free plasma. This is the key for you to break open. This is what I explained to the knowledge seekers before. When you feed so much that suddenly the Z line covers the whole space when it receives enough. So now what you got to do in the free zone, in the free space you have created as a vacuum, is to find a way. You tell us 6 months ahead. Now I tell you 6 days ahead. Try to concentrate find a way through GANS material, nothing else, that you can direct the fields inwards to the center, that the center suddenly grows up backwards. You create what you call a white dwarf. You need to create a white dwarf. If you can understand how the white dwarf is created, now that you work with GANs, that white dwarf becomes your bright light in the sky, the white light. If you understand this, don't look to go your fields outwardly, look for your fields to go inwardly into the center. The only way you can do it, understand the creation of gradients inward, not outward. This is very important. Then you find out your central core, just like an instant. It just goes upwards, it becomes a shell on its own. To me, in a way, 40 years of research and hardship with this has shown to be correct and understood by the man on the street and other professors in the universities. And just be patient, just understand what you're doing, a step at a time. You don't go outward, you go inward, and inward will become strong enough that it goes outward. This is what I explained regarding the pulses earlier on at different rates. You put enough energy from the 4 reactors that the free plasma has no choice but to go outwards, and then it becomes a shield of its own. And you achieved it, and it's fantastic what you achieved, but now you have to work on it to be able to show how you can um, deliver it as what you want. Light, lift, motion, curing a system, curing a person. This is why I said while Dr. Elia was driving yesterday, I said, I put a creature in front of you. I want you to see what's wrong with it. She says, "I look what comes out." I said, "It's got no anus." She says, "What is it?" It's got no head. It's just a field in front of you on the floor. And it's sick. You got to understand how you can help it. In so many ways, what you achieved can help Dr. Elia in receiving, giving to the entity in the universe in what is needed without understanding the structure of it. You measure the fields which is lacking or is needed, is asking for. True is the organization. And then if you understand this, then you can create what I call the universal fish tank or aquarium. You're very near to it. You're extremely near to it. Understand what you're doing in the gap in between the 4 reactors, what you call the free reactor. If you understand and you can control the strength field instead of going to 120 Tesla, go to the dimension of the man. It's within your grasp. If you understand it, if you are clear enough with your understanding and your soul, as we said, to be able to see the soul of the blessed Christ. I said this to the knowledge seekers yesterday in the car. Very soon I'll bring all the prophets in their soul present to the man for them to out the unity of man. And you are near there, you achieved it. And I told you to make 5, because then you can make the condition to be at the level of the soul of any creatures or physicality of any creatures. I congratulate you. It's amazing what you achieved in a simple way, but answer what I said from the beginning. This knowledge will be understood by everyone. A man in the back of village of Africa and a professor sitting in the iMac as a boss. And they walked away because they wanted to be superior. And a simple man like you, Armand, Marco, with a small knowledge, have broken through a major, which the scientists, even Da Vinci, could not do for centuries. Just bless your system. Every time you start with it, that will be used for peaceful application. And it'll be done, because it's your wish, the wish is your order. Any other question?
Thank you again, Keshe, and I think we should wrap that up because you have about 15 minutes left.
Yes. Thank you very much. Wins, concentrate on what you're doing as a knowledge seekers, plasma core. Stay on the same different material densities. If Armand comes in today, when he recovers from the trip, we try to do what is planned here to go into GaNs instead of copper oxide. We have 3-4 different oxides here, GaNs, the black one, the red one. So we extend the knowledge, and maybe video or together or simultaneously before Christmas we achieve what we promise. It's just we have to do it, that you do it, not us, that then we don't become a target. And now everybody knows how you done it. Stick to it, understand it. You should be able to have lunch with us in Christmas. Thank you very much. Thank you for today.
Thank you
Thank
very
you indeed.
much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks everybody. That's the end of the 37th Knowledge Seekers Workshop.